Chapter 4.5c, Practice Graphing Polynomials. You're going to graph fx equals x plus 2 and its parent function. The graph of the parent function of fx equals x plus 2 is going to be fx equals x, which means that if you compare it with mx plus b, this one starts from 0 and go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and that's going to be your parent graph, a line passing through 0 and rising by slope 1. Now if you're making graph of x plus 2, then you're going to move all the points vertically up 2 units. So this point would be moving 2 unit up, this one would be 2 unit up, and this one also going to be moving up 2 unit. And the new graph is going to be 2 unit up and 2 unit up. This one would be 2 unit up, and this one go up 2 unit. And this is going to be your graph of x plus 2. You can also think that this is mx plus b, where the y-intercept is 2 and the slope is 1. So from 2 is going to be moving up 1 over 1, and it's going to be a line graph. The parent graph for the letter b, function x minus 3 square, is going to be fx equals x square. And it's a square function, so it's going to have a parabola as a graph or a U-shaped graph. Starting from 0, 0, it's going to be 1, 1. And the next point is going to be from 1, 1, you're going to go up 3. So that's going to be 2, 4. You're going to make a graph on one side, and you're going to just follow the pattern on the other side and make the other side. Since this is going to be a graph that is a symmetrical figure, so whatever you get on one side, you're going to get the same on the other side. And it's going to be facing up. X minus 3 means that you're going to move this graph 3 units to the right. So the new graph, that is this one, is going to move 1, 2, 3 units to the right. And from there, you're going to follow the same pattern. Up 1, up 3, and on the other end, same thing. Up 1, up 3, and then you're going to get the graph that is x minus 3 square. Now we are going to try and do letter C, fx equals x squared plus 1 cube, and its parent graph. The parent graph for this one is going to be fx equals x to the power 3, which means this graph is going to rise on the right side and fall on the left side. So you can start with this one. So x to the power 3 is starting from 0, 0, and then if you put 1 for x, you're going to get 1 for y, so 1, 1. And if you put negative 1 for x, and y also become negative 1. So you got the parent graph here, and to make the graph for the x plus 1 cube, you're going to move the graph 1 unit to the left, which is this graph right here. If you talk about the letter D graph, if it is x plus 1, x minus 4, so the two factors are given. First of all, we are going to find out what is going to be our shape of the graph. If you multiply, or just like think in your mind, when you multiply x times x is going to be x squared. Or there are two factors of x value, which means this is going to be a square function. If it is a square function and you want to find out the x value, you're going to put the x plus 1 equals 0 and got x value negative 1. And then you're going to put x as minus 1 equals 0, and then you're going to got x equals 4. So x equals -1 and x equals 4. So we can see that x times x, when you multiply, you can get here is x squared. So it means that degree of this function is 2. Leading coefficient sign, that's what we need. We do not really need the leading coefficient, but we need the sign. And you can see that whenever we multiply anything negative inside, the leading coefficient, if you multiply x times x, which is x squared, become negative. So the leading coefficient sign is negative, and it's a square function or a quadratic function. It means that it's going to be a U-shaped graph. The U-shaped graph is now going to go down because it is negative leading coefficient. So the graph should look like this. I'm going to make a rough graph, and that's going to be the shape of the graph that you're going to get for this type of function. We're going to discuss g and h. We're going to skip e and f. So for the g function, it said that we have 3x factor. It means you're going to have 3 zeros. These 3 zeros are going to be x minus 1 equals 0, so x becomes 7. X minus 3 equals 0, so x becomes 3. X plus 1 equals 0, so x is -1. The degree depends on when you multiply x times x is x squared, and then x squared times x is x cubed. So degree is going to be 3. So it is an odd function, so the shape of the graph is S shape. Now we are going to talk about the leading coefficient. Here the leading coefficient is the sign that is in the front, and that is obviously is negative. So it means that it's going to rise on the left and fall on the right. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to plot this x-intercept, so -1, 3, and 7. Now the graph is falling on the right side, so this way, and it's rising on the left side because it's a negative leading coefficient. Now the y-intercept is given as -63, which I would imagine would be right here. So the graph is going to look like this. The graph of negative leading coefficient rise on the left side and fall on the right. Now for letter H, we have how many x values? That depends the degree. So we have here x, 1x, and this is the second x for this factor, and there are 2x for this factor. So x to the power 2 times x is x to the power 3. X to the power 3 times x is x to the power 4. So the degree is going to be 4. When you put them equal to 0, 1 by 1, so you're going to have 2x equals 0, x minus 6 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. So the first 0 you're going to get is 0. When you divide 2 on both sides here, so 2 divide 2 on both sides, you got x equals 0. Plus 6 on both sides for the second one, and you got x equals 6. And plus 3 on both sides, you get x equals 3. So the 3 zeros, and remember this is going to be a repeated 0 because the power on that is 2. So this means that this is a repeated root. So I'm going to plot all of these on my graph right here. So what I have is 0 and 3 and 6. The y-intercept is 0, 0. So this one is my y-intercept. leading coefficient sign is positive. So it means it's a fourth degree, degree 4. So it's a degree 4. It means it is a W shape or it is a shape of U. So let's see how we can make a U shape for this graph, and it's going to face up because the leading coefficient is positive. So this is going to face up. So I'm going to make this arrow right here to guide me, face up, and it's going to go down. From here, it's going to go back because 3 is a repeating root. And it's crossed the 6, and we got the W-shaped graph for the fourth degree equation, which is written in a factor form like 2x times x minus 6 times x minus 3. This repeated root guided me that this is going to touch the graph here and go back.